talking about the young guns in the secondary. Alontae, Taylor, and Kool-Aid McKinstry. Can they cement themselves as the future cornerback 1 and 2 long term?
I'm still unconvinced after the Rams game. I did think that was going to be their biggest test of the remaining season. I mean, Puka Nacua, Cooper Kupp, and we kept saying Demarcus Robinson as well, and he's the one who got them most in that game. It was such a weird game. I felt like Stafford was really off, and he just didn't need to throw the ball because they were running for 7 yards a pop every time. But I felt like if he needed to, if the Rams got down by 14, if this turned into a shootout, I felt like he could have gotten to Taylor and McKinstry. He only completed 14 passes in the whole game. Yeah. So I don't know if that means they were doing a great job of locking down two of the best receivers in the league, or if they just didn't get tested a lot. So jury is still out for me. I like these guys a lot. I think they are part of, I mean, if we're going to make a list of 10 guys we feel best about on the Saints next year, Alontae, Taylor, and Kool-Aid McKinstry are on my list. But are they cornerback 1 and cornerback 2? Should they be 2 and 3? Should they bring back someone like Paulson Adebo or somebody who only costs a little money to make sure they have a veteran in the mix? I don't know if they've got cornerback 1 and cornerback 2, but I'm willing to watch, and we've got the graphic on the screen. We got Malik Neighbors this week, Terry McLaurin next week. I'm willing to Mike Evans. Can they pick up the mantle from Marshawn Lattimore and shut down Mike Evans in Week 18? I'm hoping to see it. That would be the best development we can see from the Saints over the last month.
If you're looking for unimpeachable evidence in that last game, I don't think you got it.
Yeah.
Like, it wasn't quite there. They did some things that I thought were pretty good. If you look at the stats overall, they aren't terrible, as you said. I think there were other factors tied into that, but Kool-Aid had a break that allowed a long reception, and that's kind of not what you want to see. That's kind of happened to everybody, and it seems to happen to everybody in the league. It seems like that's kind of how the league's going right now. It's like run. Okay, we're going to hit you with the bomb, and everybody's kind of getting beat deep. But if you're looking for unimpeachable evidence, that's a reason to say, well, maybe not, and to keep looking maybe. Alontae, I thought he did some things really good in this game. There's some stuff downhill that's just kind of unbelievable with him, but then again, you get a curl, he misses a tackle on it, and it turns a 6-yard gain into a 19-yard gain.
Yeah.
And those are kind of the little moments that you just want to see cleaned up. And those were kind of the things that I thought were pockmarks on Alontae's first couple of years in the league, were those missed tackles. I think he's gotten a little bit better at it, but there's still some stuff that I think needs to change a little bit. I think if you gave him a whole offseason and said, go be the best outside corner you can be, he'd probably be a lot better at that position. There's still some runway here. I think we'll see continued improvement from him, but I think within the context of this conversation, I think it's fair to point out that, you know, he's kind of in a weird spot. And last year, he was kind of in a weird spot coming in, and then he ends up in the slot, and he prepared for the outside. This year, he prepares for the slot, and I thought he came back and was looking great there. Like he was somebody I was really excited about in that position. I think if you gave him the opportunity to say, okay, I'm an outside corner, this is it. I think the play probably is a little better, a little more consistent. The degree of difficulty here, I think, it's been tough just the way his career's played out. But on impeachable evidence, I agree with you completely. I don't think that we have seen it yet to where you're like, no, they don't need a corner. Like right now, if there's a corner sitting there at 10 and he's the best guy, I think you're like, I'm going to take him. Like I can use him.
Couple things. First of all, I talked to Alontae a couple weeks ago about exactly what we're talking about now, and he said the same thing. He said, you give me that full off. Like he wants to be an outside corner, but last year he finally embraced being a slot corner, dedicated himself to it all offseason, and I think we agree he was the defensive MVP of this team in the first half of the year. So he said the same thing. He goes, I'm going to learn and grow these last 2 months of the season and then spend the whole offseason dedicating myself to, I promise you I'm going to be that guy. And I'm going to believe in him. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt and think he can do that. We've seen the talent. But on the negative, another thing he did in this game was another PI in the red zone, which he's had a couple of those now in the last 3 weeks. So he's got to clean that up too. Kool-Aid is a bigger question mark for me. I have no idea what Kool-Aid McKinstry is yet. We've seen 2 or 3 games of him playing full time, and he hasn't been tested a lot. So I'm really interested to see how he holds up over the last 5 weeks. There's not a ton of 1-2 punches on this list. There's a lot of one and ... The Packers have some depth. They're an interesting one where their number 2 and 3 receivers can kill you too. Christian Watson, we just saw it last night. So that'll be an interesting matchup where Kool-Aid McKinstry is going to have to hold it down. But I'm a lot more curious. The draft is the biggest question mark to me. I would say maybe add a veteran to that mix. It doesn't cost a lot. I would hope this is a position they don't have to draft, because I still think they need to draft maybe a left tackle. I know they need to draft a defensive end, a defensive tackle. They need to get younger at so many positions. Wide receiver probably, quarterback obviously. I would love it safety, frankly, in the same secondary.
Well, on that one right there, this is probably the wildest thing I'll probably ever say on this podcast, but as this season has progressed, I've become more and more radicalized by a thought in my head, and it'll never happen. And I'm not saying it should happen. I think he's set at cornerback. I think he should be a cornerback. But damn, every time I watch Alontae play, I think he could be Kyle Hamilton. Like, I think he could be. I think he could be just an absolute monster as a safety. There's so many things he does well. I think his ball skills are crazy. His downhill stuff's crazy. His blitzing is crazy. Yeah, I think he could be Kyle Hamilton, and he probably. I don't know. Like, I hold Kyle Hamilton in like the highest regard of like all football players, but I think he could be that type of player. But I don't think he should be. I think you should leave him at corner. There's more value at corner. I think he's going to be a really great corner, but he just is such a great multifaceted weapon. It just seems like just put him on the field and be like, go do stuff. Like, and I think he'd be able to do a whole lot of stuff.
You could put him back in the slot and it wouldn't be a negative. Like, if you did draft a cornerback who's just an absolute stud and Kool-Aid pans out and those guys are on the outside, Alontae Taylor can be an effective, very useful guy at this team at multiple positions. So you don't cross it off the list. You don't cross cornerback off the list, no matter how well they do. But it's probably the one position you could make a case for a receiver with Chris Olave and Rashid Shaheed. We know they need to add to that, but it's one position where they have any sort of young nucleus whatsoever.
And I want to say that, like, I'm not saying that with any disrespect intended. I'm not talking about like, okay, Devin McCourty isn't a good enough corner, so let's move him to safety. I think Alontae can be a great corner. Like, I'm saying that in the esteem of like, I think this dude is an amazing football player, and like that could unlock him there. I'm not saying it as if you should draft a corner and replace him and move him, or he should be moved out for somebody else. Like, it's just, I think he has an amazing set of skills, and it's just, there's just a thought. It's more like in my head, it's like, this would be fun to watch. Like, it would be fun to find out, but I think he should play corner. I think he's going to be a great outside corner. I've done the breakdowns of like his man versus zone coverage last year. Like, none of that has changed. And I do think given an offseason, he'll come back, and I think we'd see the same exact progress that we saw before. So, like, people could take that. I mean that with zero disrespect intended. Like, I mean it in the highest regard, because I think Kyle Hamilton's like the best football player in the league, and I think Alontae could be like from that mold.
And even right now, he has 4.5 sacks. So his ability to just do so many things is there. And I think that's really the thing with Alontae. You both all made that point already, that he's a tree that bears fruit that hasn't been in the same soil long enough. Over the summer, you're going to be a great slot. All right, let's embrace this. Then it's like, now you got to move back outside. All right, let's uproot it and then put it in another set of soil. So I think if he gets a chance to really just let his roots get down there and really hone in and get deep, that he'll be able to turn it around.
Brandon's on your analogy turf there. Did you come up with that last night, this morning? That was beautiful, man.
I was right there, man. I was right there. But like you said, with Kool-Aid, untested. You know what I mean? Untested. He got tested earlier this season on one pass with Dak to CeeDee Lamb, was able to break that up. But you look in L.A., Lad McConkey tearing him up. You got Joshua Palmer tearing him up. You know what I mean? So ebbs and flows. Now, like Joe Woods said yesterday, they thought that this game against L.A. with Puka Nacua, with Cooper Kupp, was going to be the ultimate test, kind of to see where they're at. And
well, this is a good one for him.
Throw it to him.
The Hard Knocks offseason thing, their GM, he made like kind of like a slick comment about like how he didn't like Kool-Aid. So Kool-Aid can go show him this week.
That's a really good point.
Yeah, go show him.
That's the greatest kind of fuel, man.
And look, I mean, right now, if that Giants front office don't like you, that means that you're probably a pretty good player. So
yeah, because they shipping them out if they got them.
They made all the wrong decisions. So except taking Neighbors. Neighbors was a good decision.
Oh yeah, Neighbors.
That one was hard to mess up, though.
Hard to mess up.
Yeah.
Because he comes with his own stuff. It's not like, we got to build him into this.
Yeah.
He comes with it already. It's built in. He's from Louisiana.
And look, we've got Alabama versus LSU in that matchup, too. So.
Yeah.
Plenty of reason to get up.
Oh, yeah, for sure.